In a bid to make space human second environ, NASA and SpaceX have done what could be termed unimaginable, and that's the mysterious light-speed engine that we're going to talk about. We're all aware of how scientists and advanced tech engineers are losing their sleep to discover what could change the world within a short time. Since time is a variable that cannot be overemphasized, it has to be considered to reduce stress and physical effort. Stay tuned to learn more about the technical theory behind NASA and SpaceX's outstanding new light-speed engine. Many things are transforming dramatically as modern engineering becomes the master of technology. Unlike the days of Thomas Edison, when invention was still considered a miracle and a vast number of extremely big machines were employed for information transfer, engines were still operated manually and human energy was wasted. In reality, fatigue from industrial physical labor was the norm of the day. A lot of inventions have evolved since then, and instead of scientists simply discovering a new system and then relaxing and celebrating their achievement, they went on to model systems to make them stress-free and human-friendly during operation, which is why we now have the touchscreen mobile phone rather than the button phone that we were all used to a decade ago. The same thing has happened in the space industry, where SpaceX and NASA have collaborated to think outside the box and eventually create a fast rocket that will massively reduce the time for SpaceX's Starship to arrive on Mars, something extremely short and favorable for tourists. This innovation is unique, yet it became a reality thanks to the light-speed engine. Elon Musk and NASA just unveiled the light-speed engine, a rocket that defies physics and might transport humans to Mars in weeks rather than months. They're putting it through its paces aboard their new spaceship, the Interplanetary Transport System. NASA considers it a breakthrough, and Elon Musk describes it as incredible. Why? Because a small team of NASA engineers recently tested what is being labeled a new form of rocket engine that is faster and more efficient than anything currently on Earth. Most commercial and military rockets now employ chemical fuels that must be manufactured on Earth and then put into rocket boosters before launch. This is costly and difficult. It also restricts the amount of weight raised off the Earth's surface. What about the new light-speed engine? It operates on a different type of fuel, electricity, the type you plug into a wall socket. It may seem far-fetched at first, but when you realize that 95% of everything you do in life requires consuming energy at some point, from running your vacuum cleaner to switching on a light switch, it no longer seems to be unrealistic. Musk and a team of NASA scientists unveiled their concept for the Raptor, a new rocket, in September last year. It can resist over 500,000 pounds of force and runs on electricity rather than typical kerosene, leading to 30% reduced carbon dioxide emissions. However, before it can be launched into space, engineers must first properly show that it works on Earth. But how does this light-speed engine work? Elon Musk is bringing science fiction closer to reality. The rocket propulsion system employs electrically charged gas to reach speeds of up to 65 kilometers per second, or around 135,000 miles per hour. The engine is built with super lightweight carbon fiber fuel tanks and cold gas thrusters. It does not utilize any form of fuel, therefore it emits no byproducts into space. Instead, the engine generates thrust by accelerating superheated plasma using magnetic fields, which means no combustion gases are emitted. These engines are known as electric thrusters, but they operate fundamentally different from those employed in SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets, which provide thrust by propelling pressurized gas. In contrast, electric thrusters generate a charged plasma that produces ions to move a vessel forward. SpaceX's electric engine is more powerful than conventional gridded ion thrusters. It might power manned trips to Mars and beyond. It may also reduce transit time for spacebound goods since it takes less fuel, making it costly to launch into orbit. The technology is still being tested, and more work is required before it is suitable for space flight. It's been submitted for peer review, and NASA specialists believe it has promise, at least on paper. Can we truly travel at such high speeds in space? Some argue that traveling at high speeds across space is impossible, but that hasn't stopped Elon Musk from proving he can achieve it. He plans to build a light-speed engine that will whisk us away to Mars in just 70 days. Such an engine defies physics and would allow us to travel at speeds exceeding 186,000 miles per second. But why has he decided? Why did NASA select him to fund his concept? And If Elon can do what he believes is conceivable, what may we achieve in space? To find out, let's first look at the working fundamentals of the light-speed engine. There are several ways to travel at light speed, but first, we must understand how light works. Every atom in its path interacts with light as it passes through space. This slows it down and even stops it if there is no substance nearby to travel through. As a result of these interactions, light has a maximum velocity of 186,000 miles per second, the fastest it can travel across space, because nothing can travel faster than light without breaking the laws of physics. If we want to catch up with a distant star in our lifetime, we must find another way to get there other than traveling directly towards it. How far are we from reaching light speed? The distance over time is how we now measure speed. To move at light speed, or 186,000 miles per second, you would have to accelerate past that velocity until your speed reaches 186,000 miles per second or more, then keep it there indefinitely. This velocity, denoted by the symbol c, was defined by Albert Einstein in his theory of special relativity. We haven't yet reached what most people believe to be light speed. Still, several studies and ideas imply that we could be able to approach, or perhaps surpass it within our lifetimes. Until recently, it was widely assumed that nothing in our current condition could even begin to move at a pace near to what we consider light speed. According to some estimations, we'll be thousands, if not tens of thousands of years away from reaching it. That being said, we're frequently surprised by what science and technology are capable of accomplishing. Scientists have now created an engine capable of reaching a mere 10% of light speed, defying previously held assumptions about what is possible for our technological capabilities in this day and age. The development of high-speed engine would allow humans to travel across space considerably more effectively than before. While it will take years to perfect, if NASA gets its way, we might witness far speedier space travel within a decade owing to their innovative light-speed engine. There is currently no word on who they will compete against. SpaceX and Blue Origin are the two main rivals in commercial space travel. Both companies are focused on advancing into orbit and beyond by utilizing new technology created by founder Elon Musk and Amazon co-founder Jeff Bezos. So far, all three companies have had varying degrees of success. Blue Origin recently tested its BE-4 rocket engine, while SpaceX recently launched its Falcon Heavy rocket, but that didn't go as smoothly as they had anticipated because one of its rockets fell back to Earth. Both SpaceX and Blue Origin had made huge strides in space travel. SpaceX made history a few years ago when it became one of only 3 private companies ever to launch a spacecraft into orbit and successfully return it to Earth. In reality, SpaceX launched its most powerful rocket earlier this year to take 2 passengers around the moon next year. If all goes as planned, they'll be only 2 of 7 private companies to leave Earth's orbit. All 3 companies are working hard to make space travel a reality. However, because both Blue Origin and SpaceX have stated that they're focused on transportation rather than tourism, NASA may be looking to send people further afield than either company has planned. Musk's engine marks a big jump in the human capacity to explore space and a huge step forward for civilization. The technology has the potential to transform our flexibility to travel between planets, explore deeper portions of our solar system, and perhaps depart our galaxy. Elon Musk, if successful, will go down in history as not simply one of Silicon Valley's most popular people, but also as a scientific and engineering behemoth. This is a wonderful moment to be alive. Do you think that the Lightspeed engine is the solution to travel to Mars? This engine will also need a super powerful launcher. Check on SpaceX Super Heavy Booster and why it is the biggest monster so far. Just click on the video.